my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I was trying to hurry and take my medication before I came on. My good old ibuprofen. So how's everybody doing tonight? Do we have all the lights on? I think we do. I think we do. We're here. We're ready for it. We're ready for it. It's Saturday. I can't even see my little calendar over here. I've got like tissues stacked up because I ran issues in here. So I hope Willows feels better. I saw that she said she was going to bed. I feel you there, Willows. I feel you there. Well, welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. I'll give it a few minutes to get some people to come in. I kind of forgot to schedule the live. That's my bad. So we'll see who kind of staggers in. I totally forgot to hit the live button. So what I could do while we're waiting here for just a couple seconds, and then we'll just get right into it. I was going to put a post that like, hey, we're live. Maybe. If I can remember how to do that. I'll say you might not have gotten notified tonight. Okay. Dog is getting comfortable back there. So she's comfortable, and we're all right up here. So go ahead and get into it. But welcome in, everybody. Welcome to tonight's live. Hopefully you guys are having a great Saturday. Other than Mary Beth is getting a unit of blood. Everybody's just sick today. What's going on? I'm blowing my nose. We got Willows in bed. Tempest, are you doing okay? Ladybug, you okay? Oh, now the dogs are fighting. She just wants to lay with her. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Elizabeth, you got a notification? Okay. I was kind of like, whoops. There's baby girl. Hello, hola. Yeah, I kind of scheduled it fast. I didn't mean to. So that's why it wasn't 9:15. It was at like 9:20. Nope, you didn't miss it. Nope, Casey, I almost missed you guys. And I actually have it up to where I have you guys, for the people that are in the chat, on the vertical and then the regular chat too. So I've got both streams up, which is really cool. Wonder if they give you extra memberships to give away. Probably not. They probably don't do that with the extra stream. I thought maybe they would. Well, I hope you're doing good. Well, welcome in. So let me get to my notes over here. These dogs are like The one dog does not want to be sent with the other dog right now. But we are going to be talking about week 1 in the Brian Walshe trial tonight. I figured since I couldn't go live last week and next week I have an appointment like every single day as well, at least a weekly recap of everything that's kind of gone on. So before we jump in, quick housekeeping, make sure you're all subscribed so you don't miss, anything that's going on, any of the upcoming trial coverage. I'll make sure that I have it to you as soon as I can have it out. Drop a like so YouTube knows we're all alive in here. We're not AI bots over here. We're real people. We just got like a notification saying that they're going to like start getting like, I guess, like hunkering down on that. So that's good. And if you want to support the channel and get extra perks, behind the scenes footage, stuff like that, I'm going to start doing it for my members only, but this is what I'm going to start for you guys. I'm going to start doing some more behind the scenes stuff. You guys see me on like the members only lives and stuff like that. And I tell you like about myself, but I don't show you like the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm going to start doing that as well. So that's something to look forward to. Maybe not, but I'm going to do it. It'll be fun. I think it will be anyway. So thank you guys for being here. If you guys don't mind, like I said, hit the like button, all that stuff. Now that we got that out of the way, we can get into tonight's live. I will put the link for the channel memberships. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. That way I don't have to bother you throughout the live. And if you feel the need, hey, I want to become a member, it'll be up there. Okay. Make sure I'm in the right. Yep, I'm in the right chat box. I wonder if I could do that like over here too. Like if I can get back here. Okay. I think it let me. Okay. Yep, it did. We're learning here. We're learning. They're letting us do more things with StreamYard. So I'm still learning it. I'm not learning StreamYard. I'm just learning the new stuff. So, okay. I'm glad we got some notifications. Hey, Kitsy Cats. Oh, OHIO. Hello, Kitsy Cats. Welcome in, everyone that didn't get the notification because I decided to come on fast. I was like, I'm gonna get them this time. So I did write out a lot of notes because, like I said, I wasn't able to come on with you guys and do a lot of. We did lives, but we just didn't, cover the Brian Walshe stuff. I kind of wanted to cover it whenever there was like a bunch of stuff to kind of cover. Sorry. So I figured today is the day. So grab your drinks, grab your snacks, grab each other if you need to, might need a warm embrace. And we're going to start off with Monday, December 1st, which was opening statements and the first witnesses that came up. So opening statements kicked off the trial, which I told you guys before, these are my favorites. I do like opening statements, but the defense led by Larry Tipton painted a picture of a sudden unexplained death. And everybody that I've like heard talk about this, they're just kind of like, what? And I said the same thing. So I'm like, what? They claim that Brian had, they had the party, New Year's Eve, and he was like cleaning up or something after the party. And he found his wife, Anna, dead in their bed. Something like he nudged her. And then he nudged her again, and then he nudged her a third time, and she fell off the bed. Like, what? I mean, just the thought. I mean, this is his defense, though. This is his defense. So he's allowed to pick whatever defense I guess he wants. But he said that after he found out she was dead, right? This sudden adult death syndrome that is just brand new. That he panicked and he tried to cover it up not because he killed her, but because he didn't want his children to see her like that, to find her. That's what he was saying. He was doing it for their children. The prosecution, led by Gregory Connor, countered that the evidence will show premeditation, betrayal, and disposal, not panic. And they're doing a pretty good job of showing what they need to show. Actually, then they began testimony. The first to take the stand was Harrison Schmidt, a police officer. Prosecutors played recordings of Walsh's initial interviews with police shortly after Anna's disappearance. And then the prosecution previewed what evidence they intended to present, which was digital footprints, the search history that we all know about, and we're all going to go through. We're going to go through it again because there's a lot more on that search history than I thought. But that they were going to show his search history, the physical evidence, the tools, the disposal items, circumstantial evidence about motive, the relationship stress, possible affair, and insurance policies. And we got to see the other man. Huh. Anna, I mean, go Anna. Sorry. But I was like, well, they're a lot different. I mean, even just seeming like in the personality too. So they went through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Like they went down through the dates and they gave every single Google search or thing that he searched on his computer. And he searched a lot. So we'll go through like my day 2, kind of my notes, and then we'll go over this and I'll show you all of the different searches and when he was searching them. So the next day, Tuesday, December the 2nd, they came back in and testimony focused heavily on Walshe's internet searches around the time that Anna disappeared. For example, searches about decomposition, onset of odor. He was wondering about the odor of the body, body disposal, dismemberment, serious incriminating searches. I mean, we've seen Google searches before in this detail before. I really don't know. But the state police digital forensic investigators testified about retrieving and analyzing the data from Walshe's laptop and his iPad that allegedly contained some of these searches, along with his kids' devices. The defense's explanation for all of this, those searches were not evidence of planning a murder, but the result of panic by Walshe, who, according to them, found his wife dead and was scrambling in confusion and fear for the kids. Putting this on your kids, man. Meanwhile, the jury heard about Brian's previous guilty pleas for disposing of the body and misleading police, which leaves only the murder charge under consideration. And I wasn't sure if they're going to allow that in or not, and I'm glad that they did. Because, I mean, it has to do with the crime, right? So let me go down to December 27th. Because I don't know. So December 27th, this is days before, before her death. But it says here that I want to make sure I'm going in the right order. Okay, I am. Nope, I'm not. It has like 26th, 27th, and then it goes up. That's weird, isn't it? Okay, well, that's how we're going to do it. We're going to do it in the way that it goes. So December 26th, 2022, at 12:06 a.m., cheating wife seduces another man to impregnate her. Scarlet scandal, sex, gamble, erotica, X on Pornhub. So he's on Pornhub typing in these different sites or these different keywords or whatever into the search engine. Now I don't know what Miss BA means. Chat with Miss BA, a live adult video chat room now. That's demanding. 8:51 p.m. Best date to divorce a man. 8:54 p.m. Washington, D.C. divorce lawyers. And she was going to move to, when she did leave, she was going to move to Washington, D.C. So I'm wondering if that's why he's putting these in at that time. I want to blow my nose really quick. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Blowing my nose all day, like all day. But I don't feel sick or anything. I've just been blowing my nose. So then on 8:54 p.m., I already read that. Sorry, that's the Washington, D.C. divorce lawyers. So then series of websites regarding divorce advice, and mistakes in divorce. And then at 8:57 p.m. the next night on December 27th, Chase credit card login. And then it says all of the searches occurred on the MacBook, not on the iPad as initially thought. Guaranino said the internet searches were synced with the iPad. Okay, so now we're getting a clear. I didn't hear them say that, so that's clear for me. Okay, then we go up to the top. So, okay. So then we go up to January. For them, sorry. I don't want to have to keep scrolling down. So it goes January 26th, 27th. So the 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. Those are all good. All good days, apparently. Then we go to the 1st. At 4:52 a.m., best ways to dispose of a body. To a website of 10 ways to dispose of a body if you really need to. 4:55 a.m. How long before a body starts to smell? 5:47 a.m. 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. He returns to the article and reads through several pages of it. It's so crazy that they know like when we scroll through an article, like, don't do anything. Don't get in trouble. They know everything. 6:24 a.m. How long for someone to be missing to inheritance? Okay. 6:25. How long for someone to be missing to be dead? 7:44 a.m. Tishman Speyer, Washington, D.C. head. 7:48 a.m. Lowe's Google search. 9:33 a.m. How long does DNA last? He is redirected to a website titled, Is it possible to clean DNA off of a knife? 9:35 a.m. I mean, he is just drinking his morning coffee, just Googling away. 9:35, can identification be made on partial human remains? He's an idiot. 9:59 a.m. How to dispose of a cell phone. How to dispose of a computer at 9:59. At 10:29 a.m. I am the user on my wife's credit card. She is missing. Can I still use the card? I swear Google is it's just everything, you know. At 10:29 again, my wife is missing. What should I do? 10:34 a.m. Your spouse is missing and you want a divorce /hello/divorce. 11:28 a.m. Ways to dispose of body parts after murder. Same time, 6 ways to dispose of a body /murder at murder.com/blog. I mean, oh my God. The criminals are they're not the brightest. They're not the brightest of the bulbs. 11:41 a.m. Cleaning up a dead body, a video on YouTube. I hope that's not the video we watched that one time, that crime scene video. 11:44 a.m. How to clean blood from a wood floor. 11:50 a.m. Can I use bleach to clean my wood floors from bloodstains? 12:10 p.m. What does bleach do to dead bodies? 12:18 p.m. Want to get away with murder? Use special detergent. Article in Discover magazine. 12:21 p.m. Is it better to throw away crime scene clothes or wash them? You're trying to save money on your crime scene clothes. Were you going to use them again? 12:48. How do you use hydrogen peroxide on bloodstains? 12:48 p.m. How do you clean bloodstains with hydrogen peroxide? 12:53 p.m. Should I use hydrogen peroxide? 8 on bloodstains in concrete. No, you shouldn't use hydrogen peroxide. Why are you using hydrogen peroxide? Did someone tell him that this gets rid of blood? Because I mean, I don't know if that does on concrete, but I would say it doesn't. But who knows? 1:43 p.m. Can the FBI tell when you accessed your phone? 1:52 p.m. Does the dishwasher clean blood? 1:52 p.m. Is it possible that a knife which had blood on it remains contaminated with HIV after it's been washed with hot water and dish soap? Who'd be having HIV? That's weird. So then Monday, January 2nd, 2 a.m. Man, he stays up late. How to remove a SIM card from an iPhone. 2 Apple support website, remove or switch the SIM card in your iPhone. 201, how to remove a hard drive from an Apple laptop. 5:24 a.m. TJ Maxx near me, Norwell. 10:32 a.m. How long do stores keep security footage? 12:27, how to saw a body. 12:27, how to dismember a body. Well, I guess, okay, 12:33, hacksaw, the best tool for dismembering a body, with a question mark. I'm going to say with you, or they're going to say no. 10:42 p.m. Details of dismemberment discussed in murder trial. I mean, if I was a criminal mastermind, and I wouldn't be, instead of Googling how to, like, best tool for dismembering a body, and I mean, not like any killers are probably watching my show, but maybe you could have put in there, like, best tool for dismembering a deer or whatever, however you would, type that out for, like, deer or something. Because there should be a database. If you're putting these searches right here should be in this new database. And if you type in all these searches, there should be like something that goes ding, ding, ding at the FBI. Because these are something, I mean, they be at my house every day, but I mean, I do research. So then details of dismemberment discussed in murder trial. So he was going to want, he knew he was going to get caught, and he said he wants to know how this is going to be discussed. 12:47, can you be charged with murder without a body? Well, you're living proof right now. 12:47, murder conviction without a body. 12:51 p.m., no corpse, no problem. Notable murder convictions without a body / any true crime. What? At 12:51, oh wait, I read that. Sorry. At 1:12, can you identify a body with broken teeth? 12:14, disposing of a body in the trash. 1:34, Chatham West apartment rentals, Brockton, Zillow. Sorry, I'm Minnesota, Massachusetts. I know when I said it, as soon as I said that, I was like, that's wrong. 1:36, and then he's in the best. 7:09 p.m. Can I mix white vinegar to stop smells? Tuesday, January 3rd. Can baking soda make a dead body smell good? Okay, so this to me is saying, like, he didn't even, like, he's just now is going, or just now dismembered it on the 2nd, or her body on the 2nd, or he's going to dismember her on the 3rd. Because of the, the stuff that he's looking up. Cleaning up blood without leaving a trace at 5:03 a.m. At 6:55 a.m. Are footprints easy to wash away? So that to me says he probably left some footprints somewhere. Third body to decompose. 1:05 p.m. Body found at train station. 1:12, can a body decompose in a plastic bag? 7:38 p.m. Can police get your search history without your computer? And then one on January the 4th, Wednesday, January the 4th at 8:55 p.m. Does a cell phone track your historical location? What? He wasn't the smartest. Hey, Lenora. Oh no, that's not good. Maybe they didn't have the needle in the arm very well. Hold on one second. I noticed last night my tooth was bleeding at the end of the live, so I just wanted to make sure we're all good though. We're all good. Okay, so I did find that it's going to go over like the whole process, but I think we were on day 3. Okay, so yeah, so this is when they found the. Let me see if I can find a picture of it real quick. The jurors found a hacksaw. Other, I thought I had it, but maybe it's right here. Yeah, right here. Okay. So day 3, forensic testimony got into the physical evidence recovered by police and investigators, items linked to the disposal, including a damaged/bloody knife found in the basement of the Walsh's home. And then investigators presented evidence from a dumpster outside the Walsh's mother's house. Among the contents were bloodstained carpet pieces, a protective suit, safety goggles, a hatchet, a hacksaw, and even a vaccination card belonging to Anna. So they also showed that inside the family car, a Volvo, gloves with suspected bloodstains were found on the floor and console. On cross-examination, the defense attorneys tried to cast doubt, suggesting the stains might have been contamination rather than actual blood at disposal time. Because, he didn't kill her, but he disposed of her. The day reinforced that although Anna's body hasn't been found, there is a strong paper trail of disposal attempts from household items to chemical disposal tools and discarded waste by our dude Brian, And then they go into day 4, and that's when the affair kind of comes up, and that's when they bring in, boom, 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 the lover. A key witness for the prosecution took the stand, William Fasto, who testified that he had a romantic relationship with Anna Walshe. He described meeting her in 2022 when helping her buy a home in Washington, D.C. That relationship, prosecutors argued, provides a possible motive for this murder. And I believe that that is the motive for this murder. I think that she was going to take them babies. She was going to go live her best life because she worked so hard to get where she was in life. And he was doing dumb shit. He was messing it up for everybody, trying to sell Andy Warhol paintings that aren't even really, they're not real, just getting in a lot of stuff that I don't think she was into that. I don't think she was into that at all. But William explained that Anna wasn't happy with this situation, or Anna, sorry, I called her Anna, living in Massachusetts with their children while her job and life appeared to be more Washington-centric. According to him, she had hopes for a different, future, which prosecutors argued may have triggered Walsh's alleged desperation. And the Google searches began, But prosecutors also reminded jurors of the substantial life insurance policy, millions in coverage listing Walshe as the sole beneficiary, highlighting another possible financial motive. I mean, if they don't want to go with the scorned lover, well, he was the husband, but you know what I mean, then you can always go with this one because there's a lot. She had the money, he didn't. The defense narrated remains consistent. They argued that Walshe was unaware of the affair or its significance, and that the search history and disposal were a result of panic, not premeditated murder. I think he knew. I think he knew. But that's when the court session ended, with jurors left to weigh the dynamic tensions between the forensic disposal evidence plus the possible motive versus the defense's claims of the unexpected, tragedy, followed by the irrational panic that ensued. I don't believe that, but maybe someone will. Hey, Reba. So then day 5 comes upon us Friday, December 5th. The jurors probably can't wait to go back to their hotel and do nothing because they're all sequestered. They're just to sit there. I'm pretty sure they're sequestered in. So that sucks. But the forensic and digital evidence tracked continued as the state police analyst testified about call logs between Anna and Brian before her disappearance, showing communication patterns and giving context to their relationship in the days leading up to the New Year's Day of 2023. Prosecutors highlighted the buildup from relationship strain and affair allegations to financial pressure, and then disposal attempts, painting a timeline of emotive opportunity and action rather than accidental death. I guess they went back to sleeping together. I don't know what she wants to do. She's being weird. My dog's being weird back here. But the trial remains on pace. They say that they're still, I think they said 2 weeks, 2 more weeks, and they'll be good. So 2 weeks in the jury, and then it'll go to the jury. If not, it may wrap up before then, but we'll see. Like in the other. Is there a body that's been found despite all of the evidence of disposal? Anna Walshe's remains still remain missing. That makes for a no body murder case, which often complicates matters for both the prosecution and the defense. I don't think it's going to in this case, though. Digital footprint versus panic defense. The prosecution leans hard into Walshe's search history, disposal items, and timing. The defense argues that those are actions of somebody that is scared that they just found their wife deceased in their bed and they didn't want their children to see her like that. Okay. The motive, though, they're going to say is the affair plus the money. He probably would have looked the other way, maybe, if he thought she would stay. I don't know. I think he liked the money more than he liked anything, but that's just me. The evidence of an affair combined with, the large life insurance policy, naming him as the sole beneficiary. She should have put that in her kids' names. I wish she would have. But I'm sure that's where it's going. Children and family framing. The defense repeatedly appeals to Walshe's role as a father and his fear of their future, trying to cast doubt of his actions as misguided attempts to protect his children under all cost. He was just there to protect the children. So without the body, the prosecution must rely on circumstantial evidence, but the volume of digital and forensic and behavioral evidence may be compelling. The defense will likely continue arguing ambiguity, sudden death syndrome, and as an adult. SIDS is an adult. I've never heard of it. She, 40 or 41, I want to say. She was young and she was healthy, like by all accounts, right? She was healthy. So you can't do that. You can't be doing that. Okay, let's go over here and let's put this on. I thought that Boston 25 and also Boston, I think it's 10 News, has done a really good job covering this whole case. I think it's one or the other. They have like a whole playlist of like different videos from, I think it's called The Disappearance of Anna Walshe. But I can't remember if it's Boston 10 or Boston 25. But this just came out a day ago, so I thought we'd listen to some of this. And I'm gonna let my dog out, but she's gonna want to come right back in. She's over there sitting by the door. He is, pure evil. I don't think so either. And welcome in, everybody. If you guys don't mind, just take a second, hit the like button. Hopefully you guys are having a great Saturday.
17 murder cases. Elise, it's great that you're here with us. I am so glad you're here to join us and give us your expertise on what is happening in the Brian Walshe trial.
Thank you. Very exciting trial. Lots to talk about.
Sure is. Let's get right to it. Brian Walshe, a little bit of background. Brian Walshe charged first-degree murder for the death of his missing wife, Anna Walshe. She disappeared sometime after New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, 2022 into 2023. Anna's body has never been found, and that is a defining fact in this particular case. In a surprise move ahead of this trial, Brian Walshe's defense attorneys entered a guilty plea on two of the lesser charges, lying to police and unlawful disposal of a body. That was a big surprise when that took place. Then we had opening statements and an even bigger surprise, Larry Tipton, the defense attorney, telling the jury that Anna Walshe was not murdered at all, but instead died of natural causes. And that when Brian Walshe found his wife's lifeless body in the couple's bed on New Year's Day in the early morning hours, he panicked. Here's a clip of that opening statement.
He nudged her now in a frantic and panic reaction to where she actually rolled off the bed. It didn't make sense that somebody that he had just been with and enjoyed New Year's Eve into New Year's Day would suddenly be dead.
At least we have to start with that. This idea that Anna Walshe, 39 years old, mother of three, simply died of some unspecified fatal event. What do you make out of this? Did it surprise you?
I think it was very surprising. A chronological timeline and story, their version of events. That's exactly what happened. It was clear, it was concise, and their version is they're trying to prove Brian Walshe killed his wife, murdered her. Interestingly enough, the prosecution did not elaborate or even specify how they're saying Brian Walshe murdered her. So that's still to come. But the defense really surprised us. I think opening statements are difficult to predict exactly what is going to happen in the trial. So you want to try to be as non-committal as possible. That's the general rule. Clearly the defense here took a left turn. They made a very bold statement. It's not self-defense. It's not a manslaughter. It was not a fit of rage in which he killed her in heat of passion. It was not an accident. They actually took all of those off the table, and their defense is an unexplained medical death. Now, without a body, nobody can prove what happened. Now, the Commonwealth has the burden, as we know, not the defense, but it's going to be really interesting to see what evidence either side has to put up as to how she died. We hear a lot about what happened before, a lot about what happened after. But what happened in those couple of hours on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, that remains to be seen.
I think he choked her. I think he suffocated her. I think like something like that. He wouldn't want to wake his kids up. I just don't think he would want to wake his kids up. You want to go out there? Okay, I'm going to let you out there.
Yeah, it does. So does the defense, now the burden is on the Commonwealth, and it always is on the Commonwealth, but by the defense claiming in opening statements that Anna Walshe died of natural causes, there is no body here. Will the jury be expecting to hear something to back that up?
I think so. I think because the defense is presenting their own theory, there will need to be some evidence. I would anticipate they're going to be calling some medical experts to shine light or maybe some doubt on the fact that what the prosecution is saying is Anna Walshe was in perfect health. She was very fit. She worked out all the time. No red flags with a life insurance company. So it couldn't have happened that she had a medical event. I would imagine that the defense is going to combat that with their own medical experts. Again, likely not ones that evaluated Anna herself, but to testify generally that it is possible for someone to have a medical event that causes death without any signs, without having any predisposition for a particular illness or death.
That it just came from out of the blue. And it's going to, that's going to be a tough thing because the prosecution is already anticipating that, where they have witnesses that have testified about her health. You have, she bought life insurance back in 2021. She got the highest rating from New York Life. And they also called to the stand just yesterday a woman who worked out with Anna on New Year's Day, hours before this event happened. And that witness said Anna was in great shape and she was a powerhouse.
I mean, I'll play devil's advocate here.
Didn't she have
which
3
is
boys?
what I usually do and what I enjoy. A lot of runners, a lot of marathoners, in fact, one just yesterday, have heart attacks and strokes, right? They can just drop dead on the scene. Very sad, of course, but runners are in notoriously great health, right? They're known for having a very strong heart muscle, very strong muscles, endurance runs, marathoners, very healthy people typically. They can drop dead, right? So it's not out of the realm of reality that that's a possibility. And remember, because the burden is on the Commonwealth to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, all the defense has to do is present an alternate theory that could be possible. So if they can support this theory that it is possible that she could have had an unexpected medical event, even if you don't think that's the most likely scenario, that's an acquittal. That's an acquittal of murder. So different possibilities. Again, they're going to have to back this up with experts and potentially Brian Walshe taking the stand. Although he doesn't have to, I think it's becoming more and more likely he's going to have to jump on the stand.
He's going to need to.
So that's really interesting.
I don't think it's going to be good for him, but I think he probably should.
Interesting here. If they can back up that theory with believable and credible medical evidence without a body, again, a big challenge. If they can do that and create reasonable doubt, that's all they need to win this.
Okay. Want to go on to Brian. As you mentioned, Brian Walshe, we don't know if he's going to take the stand, but Brian Walsh's voice has already been heard by this jury in the form of police interviews that were conducted starting on January 4th, right up until his arrest on January 8th. The police came to his house to fill out a missing persons. And that's when Brian Walshe starts talking about the trip the emergency that Anna Walsh, he said at the time, had to respond to down in DC, where her job was, that she left at 6 o'clock in the morning, got into an Uber, took a flight down to DC, and he doesn't know where she is. That story starts on January 4th, and it continues. He doesn't really stray too far away from that. I want to play a brief clip of Brian Walshe from January 7th. And he, again, as police are asking more pointed questions, and he is still saying that not only did he not
I wonder
hurt
if he
her,
was
but he doesn't know where she
trying to
is.
blame this other guy.
Ask you, did you do anything to hurt your wife?
No, I would never do that.
And then it escalated to a physical confrontation?
No, sir, no. My wife and I got along very, very well. The family doesn't work without my wife. Never hurt my wife. I mean, I loved her. What would it think? I think about my kids too. She's a wonderful mother on top of being a wonderful wife.
At least the thing that strikes me in all of the police interviews is Brian Walsh's
Almost sounded convincing.
cool, calm demeanor, because he starts talking to police. When he talks to them, Anna Walsh is already dead. She has been dismembered. He has allegedly thrown her body parts away in dumpsters. And when you listen to these police interviews, he is cool, calm, and collected and lying to police the entire time. Am I making too much out of that?
I think the reason that Brian Walshe pled guilty to misleading police, which includes all of these interviews, lying, saying he doesn't know who did those Google searches on his devices, saying he doesn't know where Anna is, saying that she's missing, she went on a work trip. All of those lies, he's already admitted that he lied. So I would expect that the defense made that decision to do that before trial, so it would take some of the wind out of the prosecutor's sails, meaning that has less of a sort of a power hit to it because he's already admitted he lied. If he takes the stand here, he's going to be telling the truth. He's going to be sworn under oath. He was not under oath when he interviewed with police, or he made phone calls and sent text messages looking for Anna, even though he already knew she was dead. He, in his mind at that time, likely had put together this plan to try to protect him and his children. He was committed to that, and he would do whatever it takes to come out the other side of that. That's not happening now. He's on trial for murder. He's admitted that he lied. So now it really comes down to what happened to cause her death. Did he kill her? Did she have a medical event? Was it something else? That's really what it comes down to. The demeanor, yes, it's disturbing. It's strange that someone would be so calm, but we have to remember January 7th and then the 8th and the 9th. those are 5, 6, 7 days after she died. So he's had some time to digest, so to speak, what happened. He's had some time to think about it. It's not a surprise to him. So perhaps if he had talked to police on the 1st, he might have had a different demeanor. So as you get further away from the shocking event, demeanor comes down, people come down, right? So I don't think that's so far-fetched to think. We do have to keep in mind that there is a bunch of time that went by before he talked to police. And also that he was in sort of some panic fugue state.
Okay, well, next we're going to talk about those charges. And to me, this is a good chunk of the case against Brian Walshe. So before I say any more, these are internet searches that were done on a device. It looks like it was a laptop in the house. No one is saying that Brian Walshe performed these searches, not yet anyway, but in the time it was Brian Walshe and his 3 young children. The oldest child was 6 years old. So take that.
Yeah, I'm sure the 6-year-old was the one doing all those Google searches.
As you will. So the searches we've been hearing about for 3 years. I was at Quincy District Court when he was first arraigned, and we were all shocked when the prosecutor read all these into the record. There were a couple of searches that I heard this week that I wasn't very familiar with, and I think they may have been newly revealed. But just to recap, bring everybody up to speed. These were some of the searches. We can't read them all because there were literally dozens of them. And they started at 5 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Day.
I read them.
Anna's gone. So the searches are best ways to dispose of a body. How long for someone to be missing / inheritance? How long does DNA last? How to saw a body? And one very specific search, how can you identify a body with broken teeth? At least the prosecution says that these searches that were done in the days, actually the hours after Anna disappeared and in the days following, that they are a roadmap to this entire crime. What do you think?
I think that we need to take a step back and look at what Brian is actually on trial for. Brian Walshe is not on trial for disposal of Anna Walsh's body. Certainly it's relevant and it paints a picture. But Brian Walshe has already pled guilty to that. He's already admitted essentially that he dismembered her and he disposed of her body. It's horrific, it's gruesome, it's awful, but it's not murder. This is post-mortem disposal of a body. Then
but I didn't kill her.
Bleeding police, which we already discussed about. So what this trial is about is what happened on New Year's Eve into the early morning of New Year's Day, purportedly between on or about when their friend left their house in Cohasset about, I think, 1:30, about 1:30 in the morning.
Yep.
To about, I think 4:54 was the first Google search made on that iPad mini. And I think the first search was, how do you get blood out of wood floors and how do you stop a body from decomposing? So I think it's a reasonable inference, and probably the defense and the prosecution understands the reasonable inference that she's already dead at that point. These Google searches are not about how to kill somebody, how to stab somebody, how to poison somebody, how to shoot somebody, how to kill someone and make it look like an accident. None of these searches indicate that he was trying to plan a murder or plan her killing. These are all done after she died. So first-degree murder really focuses on what was in the mind and what was the intent of the person, right? In this case, Brian Walshe, charged with first-degree murder. What was in his mind? Well, right now, without a body, we don't even know if she died by somebody else, a third party, how she died.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about the searches that he was making, like the porn ones, best state to divorce a man, Washington, D.C. divorce lawyers, they started on the 26th and then they went on from the 26th.
Was she
That
stabbed?
doesn't
Was she
matter.
choked? Or was it an accident? Did she fall and hit her head? Obviously, we've heard the defense's theory that there was a medical incident, pulmonary, neurological, cardiac, or some other way. We don't have a body to support that. The prosecution hasn't told us what their version is of events. They haven't told us what type of death that they're proving. We don't have their theory yet.
But
So-
there are searches, our searches that use the word murder. There was a search too about, can you get, I think it was DNA from a knife, and can DNA be removed from a knife you put in a dishwasher? Those are very specific things.
And we have to understand that knife, we don't know if that knife was a murder weapon or a dismemberment tool, as gruesome and hard to decide, right? And to hear that. So if he's talking, and remember, at that point where he's doing these Google searches, he has not lied to police yet, but he has not disposed of her body yet. We know now, looking back, that he lied about that, and he was trying to cover up the fact that she died by disposing of her body. So in that moment, he's trying to figure out, how does he make it look like she's not dead, for, as they say, to protect the children and to protect the family, and perhaps maybe involving the life insurance payout, inheritance for the children. But this doesn't tell us how she died or that he killed her. It tells us that he's on some level a sick individual, to be able to do something like that to a woman he loves. But it doesn't tell us that he killed her. And that's what we need to remember, is first degree murder is 5 different things that the prosecution has to prove, all having to do with how the person dies and how they were killed. We don't have answers to that yet, even with these Google searches.
All right, and I guess the same applies to the photos and the video that the jury has already seen. So the photos came in just 2 days ago. The photos were from evidence recovered from a dumpster up on the North Shore. There are 2 sets of dumpsters in this case. The dumpsters that were used on the North Shore, that trash goes to a landfill. The items were recovered, and those are the photos that police showed. The second set of dumpsters are on the South Shore, and whatever was put in those dumpsters went to an incinerator. And the prosecution is trying to say that the remains of Anna Walshe herself, her body, that's what happened to her body. Went into a dumpster on the South Shore, went to an incinerator, and you're never going to find it. So the photos from the dumpster on the North Shore that were shown to the jury were graphic. We saw Anna's clothes, her jacket, her boots, her
keys,
slippers, personal items, pocketbook, headphones, car keys, her COVID-19 vaccination card. There was a bloody rug that was similar to a bloody rug that Anna had her picture taken. She was lying on that rug in the house in the living room. You see the Tyvek suit, the goggles, and most jarring of all,
look at the damn saw that he bought. I mean, I can't imagine using that on somebody.
we see the hatchet, hacksaw, hammer, wire snips. In addition to that, the next day, the jury saw video, grainy surveillance video from a South Shore dumpster, where you see a car that looks like Brian Walshe's drive to the back of this apartment complex, and then a man gets out of that car carrying a large trash bag and throws the trash bag into the dumpster. They're not saying yet that it's Brian Walshe, but it looks like his car. The man in the video is grainy, looks like him. That's the inference anyway. You're seeing Brian Walshe literally throw away pieces of his wife. That's a lot for this jury to take in, but they have to take it in, and they have to put their emotions aside. I think it's devastating evidence, Elise.
It's upsetting evidence. It's devastating in the emotional sense. But in terms of the case, again, that speaks to something he's already admitted to us legally in court and to the public. He disposed of her body. As grotesque as that is, and as horrible as that is in the way that he did it, they're not saying that's not him driving their Volvo XC70 or whatever the specific SUV model is, right?
XC90.
XC90, thank you. They're not saying that Brian Walshe wasn't driving that car. They're not saying that's not their car. Certainly that's something that the jury will make an inference whether that's reasonable or not. But that still is not going to be the silver bullet in this case. They're saying the way he acted after she died is indicative that he killed her. Well, that's not what the law says. All of this still shows him dismembering and disposing of her body and trying to throw away evidence. The defense says he did that to protect the children. She had a sudden medical event, nudged her, she fell off the bed. It could have been helpful.
If she is dead weight, you are not nudging her off of a bed. You're just not. I mean, you're going to have to put some, you know what I mean? You'd have to put some weight into it. If she's like, you know, obviously she's deceased, he's saying, when he finds her, he nudges her. The first nudge doesn't automatically stiff body, maybe blue, maybe no collar, maybe it's cold. That doesn't give you pause. You do it again. And that doesn't give you pause. So you do it a third time. And then what do you just keep her off the bed? Like,
And other types of defenses, right? That the defense did not pursue.
and I think that she should have been his defense attorney. I think she would have been doing a better job.
Self-defense, manslaughter, right? If he killed her in a fit of rage, that would be, I don't want to say understandable, but that would be logical in terms of, I killed her, I didn't mean to, so I had to get rid of the body. That's not what happened here, but that is a logical sequence of events. An accidental death, and then I have to get rid of her and get rid of the body, is a little bit of a harder leap. It's not an impossible leap, but it's a little bit more difficult to follow than if you concede that he was involved or he concedes that he was involved. It seems to me he is denying completely that he has any, he's presumed innocent, right? So as of right now, he is innocent. He did not murder Anna Walsh. Can the prosecution prove this given that he got rid of the body? That's going to be the question.
You know, he could have called 911 when his wife was dead in the bed. He claims that nobody would believe him. He was facing the sentencing in that federal case, in the art fraud case, which the jury is hearing about, by the way. Could have called 911, but he didn't.
He could have. I worked on a dismemberment case back in 2016. I went to trial with another lawyer defending a man who was accused of murdering his brother. And he dismembered him. He cut off his body parts and he put them in plastic bags and put them in the storage shed on the property. Did not call 911. Like, our client testified. He testified and said, it was self-defense. There were photos of his own injuries and bruises, and he was also stabbed by his brother, the one who died. And I killed him, and I didn't mean to kill him. And then I went into a panic, a state of shock. I freaked out. I couldn't get the body out of the house. So I chopped him up. That's essentially what the testimony was. That was.
She must be a good lawyer to get him off from that. If he got off with that, there would be nothing you could do in this world to convince me to cut a little piece of my brother's hair on his little, is insanity to me. That you would have to be insane to think that, okay, I can't get this body out of the house instead of calling the cops because it's a dead body. I'm just going to chop it up and put it in the pool house.
Very difficult to hear. I'm sure very difficult to testify to. But the jury did believe that. They did not convict him of first-degree murder. They believed that he killed his brother, but it was not premeditated.
I wouldn't think that'd be premeditated either then.
Here, there's a very different tactic and a very different defense here, right? It's not that he didn't mean to kill her, it's that he didn't kill her at all. So this is an all or nothing.
Yeah, the jury can show that they can put aside these grotesque images and these shocking pieces of evidence. They can put that aside and make a ruling. And in your case, at least there was a body. There were body parts, and they saw those body parts, but
horrific photos.
The photos, yeah, that's what I'm sorry. Yeah, they have the photos, and they could compare what he was saying happened in their struggle to what was found, what the medical examiner found. As grotesque as that is, there's evidence, but from the body, but there's no body in this case. All right, I want to move on.
Yes.
Another key moment in this case just happened just yesterday. We're recording this on Friday, and that was William Fastow. Now, he was Anna Walsh's lover, and this adds a whole nother wrinkle to this case. And I think Will Fastow, in my opinion, this is going towards motive. So Will Fastow was on the stand, and he said that he and Anna, he's a DC realtor. He sold Anna the townhouse down in DC, and that they quickly became friends. Then they became confidants, and then in his words, they became intimate. And down in DC, Will Fastow said that they went out on dates. They were very public, but it was important to note that they were only public when they were around Will's friends, not public when they were around anyone that knew Anna. So that's very important. But we do know, and he testified, that he and Anna spent Thanksgiving 2022 in Dublin, Ireland. The two of them got on a plane together and flew to Dublin, Ireland for Thanksgiving. So Anna did not go to Cohasset. She was not with Brian and the kids for Thanksgiving. Instead, she was in Dublin. Then they went separate paths. She went on to see her mom in Serbia, and he was separated at the time. I think he came back to the States. She also spent Christmas Eve with Fastow in DC, and that prevented her from getting back for Christmas Day in Massachusetts because the flight was canceled and she had to drive. And we know that caused an argument between Anna Walshe and Brian Walshe.
Well, I'd probably be arguing about that too. I mean, day before Christmas, you got 3 kids. I'm just saying.
Play you a little clip now.
I'll give Brian that one. I probably would have argued with her too.
Fastow's testimony, where he talked about how he and Anna talked about a possible future together.
We'd had a number of conversations about what a life together might look like, what merging 2 families would look like.
So at least there's even more here, but let's just talk about some of those broad issues that
I think that guy's adorable.
That are brought up now. That is the trouble in the marriage. Pence has been saying that they were a happy couple, and New Year's Eve party, everything was going fine between Brian and Anna. But now we're hearing, we hear from the other man in this relationship, William Fastow. What is your take on, before we get into the events on New Year's Eve and what he testified to that, just the fact that there is an affair, that she's with another man on all of these major holidays?
Certainly the prosecution is presenting this as evidence of motive. Motive is typically cheating or infidelity and or financial reasons for people to kill somebody. The prosecution is presenting 2 motives here. So one of them is the affair. But part of what would be required for the prosecution to succeed on this, presenting this as a motive, which by the way, is not something they have to prove. It's not an element of the defense. It certainly helps to paint a picture. But they have to show that Brian Walshe knew about the affair. We don't know if he did. There's no evidence that Brian Walshe and William Fastow communicated with each other outside of around the time of the selling of the townhouse, which is, I think, before the relationship between Anna and Fastow even started. So if there's no evidence that Brian Walshe knew of the affair and the affair was secret, like you said, they didn't go out. They were not together. Fastow didn't come to Massachusetts, didn't come to Cohasset as far as we know so far. They met in another country. They met in DC, places where Brian Walshe has no ties himself. So, and also that they did not hang out with Anna's friends or Anna's family or anybody that is connected to Brian Walshe. So how do we know that Brian knew that she was having an affair? That's the first hurdle that the Commonwealth has to get over. We don't have evidence of that yet. They're saying, oh, well, how could he not have known this and that? In terms of her not being home on Thanksgiving and her not being there for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with her family, it's obviously a huge deal, affair or not. I'm sure Brian Walshe was not happy about it. He had to explain to their kids why mom wasn't there. And I'm sure he was upset about it. There's a big difference between being upset with your marital partner and killing them, a week or a month later. So again, things that could go to motive, but we don't know if Brian Walshe knew about any of this. And I think unless there's something in text messages that we don't know about yet that says that he knew, there was no confrontation that we know about between Brian Walshe and Fastow. No. They didn't communicate at all.
No.
So how do we know Brian Walshe knew?
Will Fastow said he never physically met Brian Walshe, and he couldn't meet him because Brian was stuck in Massachusetts and couldn't leave because of this felony conviction. But there is yet another bombshell that I don't think has fully exploded yet, and that is the New Year's Eve party. So we know that it's a very small party. There's only 3 people there, other than the kids. The kids kind of float in and out. But the 3 adults there are Brian, Anna, and a friend, Jem Mutlu. Jem is also friendly with Will Fastow. Fastow said he did not tell Jem what was going on, kept it away from him. So I just want to make that clear. And Jem is the last person that we know of he hasn't testified yet, but who's talked to police about the last time saw Anna Walshe alive, and that's 1:30 in the morning on New Year's Day. Will Fastow says that at about 10 o'clock, 10:30 on New Year's Eve, he and Anna started texting each other, and that she sent a photo we haven't seen yet. It's entered into evidence, but it hasn't been shown to the jury. But there's a photo of Anna, her oldest child, and Jem. That's texted to Will, who's in Idaho for New Year's Eve. And at the stroke of midnight, Anna Walshe is texting Will Fastow, Happy New Year. The key thing here is that
she ain't kissing her old man. That's the key thing right there.
and this hasn't really come out yet. That's why I say this bomb hasn't exploded. In bench conferences that have been done in open court.
I mean, can you imagine? You're married for years. You've got 3 kids together. She checked out. She was gone. Like she was checked out. I think to the point where she didn't even give a care if he saw what she was doing. Obviously not. Because if it is 12 o'clock on the dot, you know that everyone knows what happens at midnight on New Year's Eve if you stay awake that long, which me and Vincent don't, so this doesn't happen with us. So we kiss each other the next morning, but you always give each other like a kiss, like that's what you do, and like a hug and celebrate the new year. She's texting. He had to have noticed that. He had to have noticed she was texting somebody else. He had to have known. You can't tell me no different, because I think he was happy in the relationship the way things were going. He had some money from her. She's a beautiful woman. She took care of the kids.
The judge here said the jury can reasonably infer that Brian Walshe was watching those text messages in real time, because he told police in those interviews that he could see messages for Anna coming in after she was disappeared, and friends were reaching out to her devices saying, "Where are you? We're worried about you." Brian told the police that he could see those coming in on his devices. So the judge said there is a reasonable inference here that Brian Walshe could have seen those text messages going back and forth between Anna and Will Fastow in real time on New Year's Eve. And that the last set of text messages that have not been made public yet, there's 47 pages at least of text messages that Fastow gave to the state police that an hour and a half after that final, as far as we know, an hour and a half after the final text exchange at midnight, Jem Mutlu is the last person to see Anna Walshe alive.
Yes. So we have to remember that when there are conferences with the judge outside of the presence of the jury, they're arguing or they're having conversations about rules of evidence and admissibility. So in order to admit something as evidence, that it needs to have some probative value and not just be to sway the minds of the jurors through emotion or through prejudice. So obviously text messages coming in between Anna and Fastow tell a huge story. We don't know if Brian Walshe saw those messages before she died. We don't know. Brian himself told police that he could see, because of their connected iCloud accounts, I believe, that he could see messages coming in on Anna's phone and devices after she died.
She would probably keep that, though, private, wouldn't she? Or maybe she just had him under a different name. I don't know.
Just because someone can access them and can view them doesn't mean they did. That's still what's missing here. So a permissible inference is not beyond a reasonable doubt. So there's still a huge burden here for the Commonwealth to prove. could the jury possibly and reasonably infer, or in other words, an educated guess, that Brian Walshe saw those text messages? They could, and if so, it could be motive. There's a lot of coulds there. Beyond a reasonable doubt is beyond all possible doubt. It's not 100%, but it's the highest degree of certainty in human affairs. It's not had access to, could have looked, it's possible, reasonable inference. So the burden,
In my humblest opinions, he looked all through that phone.
for admissibility of evidence is much lower than the burden of proof, right, for conviction. So just because evidence comes in, the jury still gets to look at that evidence, decide if they credit it, decide if they believe it, and decide if it fits into what the jury instructions are that they got in the beginning of the case and they're going to get before they deliberate.
Elise, a lot of people have a lot of questions about this case. I'm in the courthouse every day. There are people who are attending this trial who just want to see it for themselves. They don't want to watch it on TV or streaming, so they're going down to the courthouse. And people are asking me certain procedural questions here. And I put it out on my Facebook page. I asked people, if you have a question, I've got one of the best criminal defense attorneys in Boston. Let me ask Elise, because I don't always know. I'm not a lawyer. You are. So you're going to get these questions. So I have a couple of them. I have
Right.
Mary Jo Lyons Chardonnay. She asked, I heard the jurors are not being told that he pleaded guilty to getting rid of her body. Why is that not allowed as evidence?
So thank you. That's a great question. Essentially, when somebody has any sort of criminal record, prior convictions or probation periods or anything to that, it is not admissible in this trial or in the trial that they're on. This is a little bit different because these are charges that are part of this case. All of the evidence and the facts supporting those charges are coming in. They're coming in. They're going to continue to come in through the prosecution's case. I think that if Brian Walshe takes the stand, then it becomes fair game. So a person who's testifying in their own trial and in their own defense, the rules of evidence become much more lax because they've taken the stand. So if that's the case, and we don't know yet, these two pleas could make an appearance in that way, but they pretty much have appeared in the case, just not specifically as he pled guilty to two charges. But the defense, because he's already pled to those two, the defense cannot in good faith argue anything that conflicts with that, meaning they can't say he didn't mislead police or he didn't dispose of a body or argue against evidence coming in that supports that because he already admitted it.
So is it too prejudicial for the jury to know that he pleaded to two counts in this case already?
Yes, it's a rule of evidence that prior convictions or prior bad acts, also subsequent bad acts, it's what's dealt with in motions in limine, which is before the trial and outside the presence of the jury, usually before the trial starts. And both parties in front of a judge just are arguing and prosecution wanting certain evidence in, defense not, and vice versa. Sometimes defense wants evidence in and the prosecution doesn't. The judge makes rulings based on the Massachusetts rules of evidence in terms of admissibility. Something has to have, in order to be relevant, the prejudice of that piece of evidence cannot outweigh the probative value. So seeing in terms of a prior bad act or a subsequent or contemporaneous bad act or conviction is not admissible unless the defendant takes the stand.
Okay, we're going to get to that in just a second. Second question I have. John Joseph Grimes asked a question, and it's a question I'm hearing over and over again. That's why I'm asking you. He wrote, it looks as if she, Anna, told him, Brian, that day that she wanted a divorce, met someone else, and he killed her. His flimsy excuse that he found her deceased and then disposed of her dismembered body is ludicrous. Why not just take a plea of second-degree murder and get this charade over with? So the underlying question there is, why are we even having a trial? This seems like it's open and shut case.
Well, we need to keep in mind that we have only heard the prosecution's evidence so far. So how a jury trial works or how a bench trial or criminal trial works is the prosecution has the burden of proof, so they present all their evidence first. Then they rest, And then the defense gets to put on their evidence. And their evidence could be photos, videos, witnesses, medical experts, forensic experts. We've heard what this person described as an excuse, but it's a theory of defense that Anna had a medical event and that's what caused her death. At this point, it might seem flimsy because we haven't seen any evidence yet to support it, but that's because it's not the defense's turn yet. So let's wait to see what the defense presents to support their theory and then revisit whether this is going to be a close call.
All right, what about the other part of that question, though, is why didn't he just plead second-degree murder, get this over with? What about a plea deal?
I think, I can answer that in two ways. Number one is based on the defense's theory that it's not self-defense, not manslaughter, not accident, not accidental, fit of rage killing. Brian Walshe is denying that he killed or had anything to do with Anna's death. So for him to turn around and plead guilty to any type of responsibility, second degree manslaughter, it would be unethical. So as a lawyer, we cannot have our client plead to a charge, whether it's a mitigated circumstance or whether premeditated or even accidental, if we know it not to be true. So in other words, I'm not involved in the Brian Walshe case directly, but in a case that I have where a client would say, I had nothing to do with this, I didn't do it, it wasn't me. And then in the next sentence or the next day or the next week, the client says, but I want to plead guilty to this so I avoid a trial with a heavier jail sentence. I am not supposed to proceed with that plea. I need to tell my client, you've told me that you had nothing to do with this. I cannot present you in court under oath to admit that you did this. It's unethical for me as a lawyer, and it also perjures my client. It allows him to perjure himself. You can't say you didn't do something and then turn around and say, but I'll plead to second degree. So very likely in this case, Brian
Hear that, people that are Brian Kohberger fans?
Walshe, and we know that now based on the opening statement, is saying he had nothing to do with this. So if he had nothing to do with this, he can't get through a colloquy. Part of a plea is they read the facts and the defendant and the judge asks the defendant, do you admit that these facts are true? And they have to say yes, but they do it under oath and they after being sworn, and it has to be the truth. Otherwise it's perjury. The one blanket rule, very black and white rule, is a lawyer cannot put on any witness to testify, including their own client, if they're going to perjure themselves or if they know that they're not going to tell the truth. So that could be why he hasn't pled guilty. The other reason is that perhaps there was no offer. Sometimes that's the case. I've had cases where I've gone to trial on a first-degree murder. My client did admit his involvement, so it's different than this case, but the prosecution did not offer a second-degree murder plea, so we went to trial.
Interesting. All right, so let's get back to this first week now is over, of the trial is over. It seems like the prosecution could be wrapping up its case in the next day or so. And then it's the defense's turn. And the big question we've been talking about a little bit here, will Brian Walshe take the stand? For me, on my side, again, you say the defense hasn't put up a defense yet, so we don't know what their witnesses are. But it kind of seems to me that they almost have to call Brian Walshe because of what they've told us that they're going. There's no one else to say that she simply died, and there's no body to be able to say that, yes, that is what happened to Anna Walshe. I think Brian almost has to take the stand at this stage.
So I do want to reiterate that there's no burden of Brian of any defendant to testify in their own defense. Normally, or usually, lawyers tell the defendant for a lot of reasons that it may not be a good idea to testify collaboratively. That's the decision that is made. In this case, or in a self-defense case, let's say, for example, a defendant does really need to testify. In this case, we don't know if he's going to testify yet. Now, let's think about the Karen Read trial, right? We all have been following that over the last year and a half. You've been on TV about it. I've done podcasts about it. Similar, but also different. So the defense, think about after the prosecution presented all their evidence, people were saying, why are we on trial? Like, all the evidence shows that she ran him over with the car, ran her fiance over with the car. But Karen Reed never testified, but the defense put up enough evidence for her to get an acquittal. So think about that. They had medical experts, they had a dog bite expert, they had action reconstructionist experts, they had forensic cell phone experts and to testify to computer searches and the time of those searches and text messages and phones and location. So there was more to work with because there was a body. The cause of death was both blunt force trauma and hypothermia. One is a natural event, one is not. Could it have been from a fight inside the house with the other members of the police department? Or could it have been Karen running him over? So remember that Karen Reed was acquitted without her ever taking the stand. It is possible and it does happen. In this case, I think there's less to work with because there's no body and no body parts. So I anticipate, or I would expect, that there's going to be medical experts.
Well, and Brian Walshe don't look as good as Karen Reed. So I'm just saying.
Talked about this a little earlier in the show.
Think that's
Testifying about how somebody can just drop dead, right? Or can just pass away with no predisposition and no forewarning signs. I think there was some evidence that came in that Anna was very tired. She didn't feel well. Without a body, the Commonwealth can't prove or disprove that, and neither can the defense. So remember that the Commonwealth has the burden. The defense can rebut that if they choose to. They can put on no evidence whatsoever. But I think it's
what 40-year-old isn't tired that has kids? That just hit me. I was like, wait a minute. I'm tired and I'm fatigued and I don't even have kids. I mean, I'm just kidding, guys.
Becoming more and more likely that Brian Walshe will take the stand. Of course, we all want to hear from him. I think a jury is always.
I could use without that heartache. We already had to go through it with Alec Murdaugh. Ashley said this one's going to be even better. If he takes a stand, I'm going to have to see it. Do we have nicknames made up yet? Does he have any? I bet he'll have some.
Curious to hear what a defendant has to say, but they are asked and they have to attest that expecting someone to testify or holding the defense to the burden of the client is something that would disqualify them as a juror. So we do have to remember that as well.
And if the defense feels that the Commonwealth has not proven its case, then there's really no reason. You're asking for trouble by putting your client up on the stand, because at that point, all the attention, I don't want to say forget the evidence, but people will focus on the person, on the defendant and what they said and how they're saying it. And it can be a disaster, or it's a risk. It could be a grand slam or it could be a real disaster. And when you're at high stakes like this, you're talking about someone's freedom for the rest of his life. That I don't know if that's a gamble you want to take.
It's obviously under very detailed scrutiny. There's a lot of pressure from the media coverage, as well as the interest, nationwide on this case. The decision to call a client is not always made until the very end. So sometimes you wait as a defense attorney until all the evidence comes in and see if there's already doubt within the evidence that the Commonwealth has presented, or if they need to bolster that with some testimony. So I don't think that a decision likely has been made yet whether to call him, but I do think it's more likely that he will take the stand than in other cases where it's just a matter of, well, they can't prove this. The defense has put up their own theory now, and I think
stick with me after this is done, because this is sad, but this is a sad reality of YouTube. I'm going to show you.
Brian Walshe is the only eyewitness to it.
Witness.
All fascinating stuff. Elise Hirshon, criminal defense attorney from Boston. Thanks a lot for joining us. And it's just such an interesting case. Brings up so many ideas here, and a lot of us are paying attention to this and trying to make sense of it all. And really appreciate your expertise here as we try to get through this. And we still have a long way to go here. I don't even think we're at the halfway point with this trial.
Okay, yeah, don't invite her back. I'm just kidding. Okay. I'm just going to give you a reason on why not to drink. Okay. Because I was just over here trying to find a place for you all to go after this live. And oh my God, I didn't know JB Gunner had a second channel, but he's sloshed right now, passed out in his chair with his Jameson bottle, doing a live stream. Oh no, it's worse than Craig. Craig a channel. I mean, he just says stuff in the back of Brittany's. But this dude, he has a second channel. How the hell did I find him? He is sloshed out of his damn mind. He says no, ma'am, and he's like this. That'd be JB Gunner. He's better known as, and he could try to come whoop my ass for it, but he's better known as being KKK Clue's friend. He likes to do a bunch of racist stuff on his channel and likes to beat women as he's doing it. So that's him. This is him. This is JB Gunner. This is the one that beat his wife. He said, hold on. And he got out of the videotape, but he was still on the live stream. Yeah. Look, he was on for 3 hours. Here he is. And then I don't know when he fell asleep. I don't mean to laugh, but I'm like, this right here is your karma. You're a lonely man with your little, your little games and your bottle of Jameson. Passed out. On a live stream. Oh, no, she is A. Higgins. You need to go check out this. This guy, yeah. She says that she said certain things. No. She definitely said it. I definitely saw it. I could definitely probably even pull the clips. But yeah. This is JB. I just happened to go on I wasn't even on the live tab. Now he's got 15 people watching him. Gonna go to he needs to get some help. That was the stuff with his ex, like the DV stuff, that was years ago. Like 2 years, 3 years ago. 2, 3. So yeah. He's the guy that likes to throw the N-word around. Like it's fun. Like it's fun times. He used to go up on Dagos a lot. It was him, Dago, and Clue and them. Yeah, me neither. Me either, baby girl. That's one thing I don't like. I just don't like that at all. I don't like it. I don't like it. It gives me the willies. Plus, I can't say nothing. Ladybug, you just stay over here, honey. I don't want you knowing about that guy. That guy's bad. That guy's bad. Little ladybug. Little ladybug will venture over there, and her little ladybug legs won't be able to go fast. But no, he's bad. Yeah, I don't know. Just some of this, I don't know. It's everywhere. I mean, everybody had said a word before, I guess, but it's when you don't apologize. I think that's where it like if you mess up and you say something, that's like, you do something or you say something that's just wrong. There's the thing that if you apologize and you look at yourself and you're like, hey, I did some shitty shit. Just like the one girl, what was that one girl's name? That was a YouTube creator. Marples. And she like back in the early, 2000s, like people would do like what they call now blackface, but they would do it in like, they would make jokes. But at the time when she did that, she didn't realize how big that was going to become. And like how that was just wrong to do that. And she shut down her whole entire channel. She literally shut down like an 8 million subscriber channel just for like the things that she was doing. She felt bad that she was doing those things way back years before, but she was like, I'm not going to like say Jenna Marbles. Yes, Tenny. I like her and I wish she'd come back to the platform. I didn't know her before her apology, but I loved her apology because she was literally like, I did this and I was wrong. It wasn't none of that crying, stuff like, oh, make me feel like feel bad for me. It was none of that. She just like, yeah, Jenna was a good one. Doug's channel too. Doug. Yes. Oh, wait, Doug. I thought I was thinking of Dawn. Doug. I don't think that name sounds familiar though. Yeah, I just. Yeah, the channel. Oh, where the heck I go? I just disappeared for a second. I looked, I was gone. Oh, there I am again. What happened? I'm flashing. I don't know why I just flashed twice. Maybe my camera's getting warm, but it's like a brand new camera. Oh gosh, maybe it's them coming into my camera. No, but everybody just be careful because there's a lot of crazies out there. Yeah, like yes. He is like the poster child for what not to do on your YouTube platform, right? Doug is now on TikTok. I bet you I know that. Remember how we used to make fun of T-Rev and how we had a good old time. Remember he thought he was Billy Badass and he came in the chat that one night and I dropped him the link and then he peaced out. All I said was he was lucky that he got to go on his live without a shirt on. That's all I said. I was like, I wish I could go live without a shirt on. I mean, but I wouldn't. And I can't. But, and I was just like trying to make a funny joke. And he was so mad about that. Yeah. He's supposed to drop for telling me you're on Beth without telling me. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it seems like he's not doing very good. Well, I know him and Michaela just broke up because he was like, she could go back to Seth. And I was like, oh, damn. Damn, little Rabby. I never watched Josh the Lab, but I bet he's funny. He owns his own car services. Oh, my God. The one car he had was wrecked. Oh, do they break up every day? Lovely relationship. You know how many times me and Vincent have broken up? Zero. You know why? Because ever since I was a kid and I was allowed to date, 16, if I broke up with you or you broke up with me, we're done. We're done. No more. And if I was breaking up with you, you better run. My mom used to tell people that. She'd be like, yeah, that's with her. But I'm just like, well, when it's done, it's done. Yeah, I like Josh. I think that Josh he's a funny guy. And I do like Gary Bercato. He seems like a very smart man. An Uber system now. His own Uber system. Oh man, instead of like the L train, it's going to be the Trev train. And man boobs. So there's that. He should have just stayed where he was. This is what I can give you though. I can give you this like little bit of a tip, I guess. Don't do what T-Rev did. Don't fake calls. Oh my God, it's just so icky. So icky. He is nerdy, but there are some people that are into nerdy. Like Vincent's nerdy. He's pretty nerdy. But you know what he does that's not nerdy? He picks up this house for me today. It's been when was Thanksgiving? Okay, I know that was a long time ago. Okay. So I thought we were going to have our decorations for Christmas. I'm like, we're just going to go through summer with these decorations because we haven't taken the totes that the decorations came in, from our like shed. They came inside. So our hallway has been like, we have like this long hallway and it's been kind of just like has totes and 2 boxes for the Christmas trees. And I'm like, I ain't doing it. I ain't got the motivation to do it. And today I look over and what's my man doing? Motivating me to get up. That's what he was doing. He was taking all the boxes out. He was doing all the things. I was like, left again. I just left again. And then I came back. I don't know what it's doing to me. It keeps telling me that I need to get off, I guess. Is it hot? No, it's not hot. Maybe a loose wire. Who knows? Yeah, and then she went crazy. And then she got kicked off the platform. She hasn't been back, I don't think. But I do love me a brainy guy. I always have. But thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. I'll be back on tomorrow. We'll do some sort of like a more of a earlier live, maybe like 7:15. If I don't do one, I'll let you guys know. That's only because I'm literally, except for Wednesday, I think I have an appointment Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. All an hour or so away. Don't know why I did that to myself, but I did. But I'll see. I'll see what the books look like. So I should be on. But thank you guys for being here. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Really? I was just thinking about Gilgo Beach. Oh, yes. I forgot about it. Oh, yes. I want to. Yeah, because I wanted to watch him on here, actually. I like Joseph Scott Morgan. I like him and that other guy that he like hung out with a couple times when they did the Idaho 4 stuff. I thought that was interesting too. Thank you guys for being here. Bye, Ladybug. Love ya. Bye there, baby girl. Bye, everybody in the chat. I'll see you.
Content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Be faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Be carefree lately, yeah. Just kicking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pockets. Counting like the 4-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on daisies.